Hey, what is going on, everybody? Bauer Brown here. Welcome back to the channel, guys, and welcome to another video. Alrighty, so the video that I have for you guys today, we are going to be taking a look at Giants Editor 10. Oh yeah, it is about time. I know last time they made us wait a little bit. I think it was only a couple of days. I know a lot of guys were saying, even myself, I was kind of believing that it was like anywhere from a week to 10 days, but when I checked on it, it was 2 days. Either way, that's neither here nor there. But it is finally here, and this is what we've been waiting for. Me especially, I get more excited about the release of Giants Editor than I do the actual game. Good or bad, I don't know. Is that sad? I don't know. But I like making maps. That's what I like to do, and I get excited when it comes out. So it is here now. There's some good things, some bad things, and we'll get over that, right? So we'll cover it all. I guess let's just start. Let's just jump right into it, right? So let's start by having a look at the editor. So just like normal, get yourself over to gdn.giants-software.com, right? Get yourself logged in. All right, so we'll log in there. All right, if it ever decides that it's going to log in, I don't know why this is going to take forever. Maybe I've been booted. They finally gave me the boot. Probably because I don't really use this browser ever. Alrighty, so navigate yourself over to downloads and you'll be able to see everything that's new. You can either look at the date to see what's new or just look here where everything says Farming Simulator 25. Right, so we got the Giants editor version 10. Now, I do suspect that this is probably going to be changing soon, right? So 10.0.1, what have you, right? So hopefully it doesn't take them long to figure out that there's a little bit of an issue there. All right, and I will explain that when we get there. Won't be long. The nice thing is this time around, the Maya exporter plugins and the Blender exporter plugin they have immediately. Now I did not check this out yet, so I don't know what version of Blender it works up to. But we'll have a look at that in not this video, but I will have a look and we'll be able to see what version. Hopefully, we're up into the fours now, so I can use the newer versions of Blender, being able to export from there. But either way, that's good. So we do have a new exporter for that. We have a new studio, and loop synthesis tool. Boy, I can't talk today. So basically, in a nutshell, everything that you would expect to have, right? We have a new test runner, the whole 9 yards, icon generator. Or do we have a test runner? Yes, we do. All right, so we have everything that we need, which is good. All right. So like I said, you can get yourself over here, have a look through the list, download everything, download just one thing, uh, whatever you want, right? Whatever floats your boat. All right. So what we're going to be doing is having a look at Giants Editor today, right? So go ahead and download that. Now I've already downloaded it and installed it, so I'm going to start mine up. Now the first thing that I don't really care for is the icons. They made the exact same color. Now they were changing colors on the icons from year to year, which was nice, because then you could tell one from the other. But now they're both version 9 and version 10 are yellow. So you'll have to name those accordingly. And the same with everything else. Studio, everything else is the same color. Not a big deal, but I don't know. I like when they're different colors. I can tell one from the other just by looking at it, right? All right. So when you start yours up, all right, you should be presented with a screen that says you've already have different versions of Giants Editor installed. All right. Now you need to pick your most current version. It's going to ask you which one of those versions you want to take your like your preferences and stuff from, right? Like any settings and preferences. All right. So pick your newest version and it will import those preferences for you. All right. Now with that, if you try to open anything or like run anything, there's a good chance it's going to crash, and I'm going to tell you why. At least this is what happened on my end. All right. So you go up the file and go down to preferences. Now for your game installation path, mine was still pointing at 22 because it pulled those preferences from Giants Editor 9, and in Giants Editor 9, that was my installation path. So you're going to have to change that. Go in there and change that to 25. And in the Giant Studio path, same thing. You'll have to change that to the newest version to 25. And that's all you should really have to do there, and you'll be good to go. All right. The only difference that I see in here, let's see, warnings, updates. I didn't spend too much time with this morning, so you're gonna have to forgive me on that end. I didn't. I'm not well versed on all the changes here. But I don't remember this being here, the custom primitives path, which that's pretty nice. So if you have your own primitives that you want to use within the browser, I guess you can start your own little library there, and you can designate, you know, specify the path for where you keep those primitives. That's pretty nice. All right, so looking over everything else, you can see that some things are different here, like rendering. You can change the colors. It's not a huge difference, but some things are different. So you might want to take just a tiny bit of time and look through the preferences, see what's different. All right, so don't forget about, like I said, the studio path and the installation path are going to need to be updated, even if especially if you import your preferences from an older version. All right, so now once we're in here, this is what we're going to notice right off the bat. The first thing that I tried doing, and I'd imagine most of you guys are going to try to do, is you're going to go up to File and we're going to hit New Mod from Game. Now, when you hit New Mod from Game, bang, you're gonna you're gonna get hit with an editor error. All right. Now you will notice on my new mod from game up here that I actually have some tractor showing, right? And you probably will not. You will have an empty box there. All right. So there's one or two ways that you can possibly go about fixing this. Now I only started the process, so I don't know if it will fix everything, but if you read the actual error, it's failing to load an image. It's looking for this store underscore SK. So you look at the file path here, right? And it's looking for this file, this .png. Well, in that particular folder, they have the actual file, but it's a DDS. All right. Now, normally, like with the editor, it would read. You could have it listed as a PNG, and it'll still read the DDS for certain items, certain scenarios, right? Uh, but I guess in this particular case, it's not liking it. So what I did is I navigated myself over to that folder. So you can see here where they have that store underscore Tony 10900D, right? And I opened up the DDS and I just saved a copy as a PNG. Now, this is a bit of a process, right? So I didn't have that much time to go through every one of these errors. And what you're going to do is you're going to have to go, like I said, navigate to this file path here, look for this file, open up the DDS, and convert that over to a P. Don't convert it, save a copy because you're playing with your base game files there. So you want to save a copy as a PNG, and that will get you past the errors one by one. Now, I'd imagine you're going to have an awful lot of them to go through. So you really need to decide how bad. Whoa, that was loud on my end. Sorry about that. You're going to have to decide just how badly you want this new mod from game to work. Now, like I said, that's just a guess. Like I did get my tractors and stuff starting to show up here, which is pretty nice. But just how badly do you want it? Because I can't guarantee it's going to work after you go through each and every one of these, converting him over to a P. Not converting. I'm sorry. I don't want you guys can convert anything. Saving a copy as a PNG. All right. So you can give it a shot. If you have the time on your hands and you want to go through them one by one, by all means, have at it and see what happens. Right. Personally, I don't have that much time on my hands. So I just started the process to see if it would work and I've made some headway. All right. Now I don't know if I can actually create a mod from one of these. Maybe I can. Let's click OK, and oh yeah, so it gives me a working directory. So there's a good chance that I could. Now the only thing you can't do, since these errors are coming up here, let's see here. Yeah, no map items show up, so we have nothing for maps, which well, that kind of sucks because that's what I want. But it is what it is. So, like I said, you have one of two options. The one option is to go through and save a copy of all those DDSs as a PNG and see what it gets you. Your second option is wait for Giants to fix it, unfortunately. And then this is like tradition, with every new update or new version, something is always wrong, and we generally have to wait for something to get fixed. And so that's no different this time, but all is not lost. If you still want to play with the editor, we can still do that. We can still have a look around. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go up to file. Let's go. We don't have an open recent, do we? All right. So what I'm going to do is I am going to open up the base game map just so we can have a look at what's what, right? So it will work. If you decide to do this and you want to open up one of the base game maps and just, to play around, absolutely positively make sure you do not save this. Do not save the map, whatever you do, because you will overwrite your base game. All right. Now looking around, things are nice. I really like the way things look here, right? So everything, it looks really nice. All right. So the first thing that I did when I jumped into this, and we'll cover the simple stuff first, right? We'll go over the very basic stuff. Let me find a good area here where I can do some damage. All right, let's go up in this parking lot here. And it does look nice. Like I said, I kind of goofed around in here and just checked things out quickly, and it's very nice. All right, so the one thing you'll notice right off the bat, everything toolbar wise looks pretty much the same, right? If you go up to your scripts, you're going to notice that things are different there, right? There's definitely some differences, right? So we have this field toolkit, we have a placeable toolkit. I did look through the scripts themselves and got a feel for what they do, but I have not actually got into using any of this stuff. All right, so this is not going to be a tutorial on how to use this. I still need to get my head around some of these things, so that's going to be in a later video. All right, but we'll get to that. All right, so we'll cover all that. So those are some of the changes. Now, one of the other things that I noticed when the game first came out, right, is I started looking through the base game folder, right? So if you go to, Farming Simulator 25 data maps, you go into, let me go back to maps, right? So here's all your procedural placements, right? I have not looked through these, so I don't know what opens these up, right? So I had a feeling that this was going to happen with the maps this time around, only because on the Giants editor version 9, they introduced that procedural placement, but really didn't do anything with it. Right. And normally the only other way that we can figure these things out is to look to see how they did it. Right. And then that gives us an idea of what to do and how to do it. And you get the idea. Right. But they did not do that. So I kind of had a feeling it was going to be used in the new versions, right? And in a 25 and the updated versions of the map. And that's exactly what's going on here. All right, so not sure exactly what these are. Let me see if I can maybe open one of these maybe with a text editor or something maybe. I'm not sure. I have no clue what would open it. Let's try it with just a text editor. Oh yeah, it looks like I'm looking at it on another screen. And it looks like hex code here. All right, so I'll play around with that, see what it takes to open these. I'm not even sure if I can open them, but we'll come back to that, right? So I just wanted to make a note, point that out that procedural placement is going to be, it's used on the creation process for these maps, or at least they used it. All right. Now, some of the differences here I noticed. I think environmental maps was we did have those in the last one. Let me go into data. This was one of the big things here too. Is these masks again? This is for procedural placement. Now, how they used them, exactly how they used them, and exactly what they used it for. Some of it's kind of self explanatory by looking at it, but again, I don't know exactly how it works because I just haven't had that much time with it to really figure these things out and get my head around it. All right, so those are some of the differences. Now, I believe even looking through some of the folders, if we go through, like, say, textures, they divided things up this time, which is kind of nice, right? So we have all of our terrain in one folder, which I think we did last time, but we got some terrain decals we can work with. I think yep, they did. They divided up like buildings. So now instead of everything lumped into one folder, now you can go through one by one. So the boat shop is all in one folder, right? So you should recognize most of these files, right? And on the previous version of Farm Sim, they were all kind of just thrown into one folder and you had to dig through there to find what you were looking for. So this is kind of nice. I kind of like that, right? All right. So I just wanted to point out those couple of changes in the base game because those are things uh, that are going to be different when you get into uh, into the new editor. All right. So some of the things that I did initially, right, as I started out, you'll notice that when you look at your sidebar here, right, your windows, they have everything tabbed now, right? So everything's in tabs: your height, your texture, your mesh, foliage, right? So if I click on my terrain detail, my texture paint, right? So it automatically highlights that tab, which is pretty nice. I like that, right? That's cool. That's not bad. Because before all these windows were stacked one on top of the other, that was kind of a pain, right? I dealt with it. It wasn't horrible, but this is a lot better. I do like this, right? So having a look at the textures, I do like a lot of these textures are really, really nice, right? So, I mean, it's nice that we have like some cracked asphalt this time. All right. That's pretty nice, right? So you can put that worn look into some of your stuff, right? Going down, I was looking at like some of this, like say forest grass they have, and I suggest that you guys do this yourself too, right? So forest stones, they have some really nice textures in here this time around. A lot of you guys are probably going to be super excited to see this one come back. We have sand. Yes, we actually have sand again. Thank goodness. Right? We were missing that. We had wet sand at one point, but not quite the same. But anyhow, what I'm getting at here is a lot of these textures are really nice, right? I think I can really do some really nice work with these textures they have going on here, right? So do yourself a favor, just go through and kind of play around with, play around with the texture, see what you have to work with. I don't think you'll be disappointed, right? So they have a lot of really nice stuff in here. Forest rock. Let's see that. It's pretty nice, right? They can really do some damage with these textures. So that's definitely a plus. The textures look like we're going to be able to do some, like I said, really nice work with those. All right. So that was one of the big differences there that I noticed right off the bat. And again, how they divided everything up there, which is pretty nice, right? Everything's in their own little tab here, right? Really nice. Foliage, same thing. Do the same thing with foliages that you did with the textures. Go through and start looking at all your deco foliages and your bushes and stuff like that. Here's I was playing with the grass there, but you can start with deco bush if you want. Have a look at those. The nice thing with these is I'd actually had a lot of these. You're going to notice that some of these are new, right? Like water plants is new. Some of these bushes, like deco bush for the U.S. Nope, those are well. I mean, these are new, but I don't have a copy of these. The stuff that you're going to see in there that is new to you, I actually had a copy of, and I'm working with those in my current map. They probably came out of they came out of one of the expansion maps that we had at one point. I'm pretty sure, but they were not bundled in with Giants Editor 9. But I did get my hands on them, so I was using them in my current map. But I had to implement those myself. I had to install those bushes and textures and stuff like that that I can work with. And so the nice thing here is they're already installed for you, right? And I like I like the bushes and I like all the deco objects that I was working with there. So I'm excited that I no longer have to jump through hoops to be able to get to use those things again. That they're now included, with Giants Editor 10. All right, and you'll notice that your deco foliages, are all the same. These are the same things that we had to work with. There might be just a couple new ones at the bottom here. Slender Mountain Mint, that one's pretty new. It's not pretty new, it definitely is new. We got Wild Bergamot. And last but not least, we got this Prairie Blazing Star. Okay, so that's pretty nice, right? Go through, check all those out, see what you have to work with. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. All right, moving on the line. We all know what mesh paint mode does. Doesn't look like there's anything different there. Everything looks pretty much the same. There are some differences here. So when we get into the info paint mode, now, like I said, this is not going to be a tutorial on how to do any of these things, how to use these items, because I have not yet played around to get my head around them. All right, but let's go have a look and see what's different here. Now, you'll notice we have a brand new info layer. We have an environment info layer, right? Pretty cool. If you look through the options they give you, we got open land, city, village, harbor, industrial, and open water. right? So we're going to be divvying up our areas depending on what you have, right? So if you have like say maybe village, so this could be like a village. Actually, right up here they have that marked off as a village. So they have this listed as a village. Okay. Now I'm not sure what happens there. If maybe it's the sound that changes, or maybe it has something to do with the fog, or could have something to do with where the tornadoes hit and don't hit. You get the idea, right? So it's doing something. I just don't know what it is yet. Got to give me some time, guys. I gotta. It's gonna take some time for me to get in here and really sort through these things to figure out what's doing what, why it's doing it, and the whole nine yards. So it's kind of neat though. Village is at no water or near water. That I'd imagine has something to do with the fog. I'm pretty sure that would make sense. If things are a harbor, not a harbor. Nope, there. That's kind of weird that they. Oh wait, that's not a harbor. They have. It would be white. But either way, so you get the idea. We got some new info or some new info layers there. So the environment is brand new. Everything else looks pretty much the same, right? So farmlands that looks the same, indoor mass the same. Everything else is the same except for field type, right? So field type, we have two choices. We have the default fields and we have rice. So you're gonna have to. Looks like you're gonna have to stipulate the difference of whether or not you're going to have like a rice field off the bat or if it's just a plain old default field. Okay. All right. So these are just some changes that you're going to need to know exist. All right. So info layer. That's it for info layer. Now the what do you call it? The procedural placement. All right. Well, you'll notice right off the bat that you can do a little bit more now than you used to be able to with Giants Editor 9 because nothing was set up there. All right, but going through procedural placement, like I said, I won't be able to explain any of these things to you because I really don't know what does what yet. But it's, we got forest, we got acres. Now, each one of these images that you see here correspond directly with what was in this data in this. Let's go to maps, map US data and masks. All right. So these all correspond. Everything that you see in here, right? So I'm looking at that PG acres, and that would be right here. Okay. So this PG acres is what we're looking at there. Now, I'm not sure what that's actually doing or how they use that. Now, it looks like it would layer up with the fields, but they don't cover exactly, right? So you can see that these are really off. So they're close, but not quite, right? There's fields here that aren't even covered. So, like I said, I don't know exactly how they're using this. And I don't know if they are using it currently or if it was used at one point, or maybe if it gets used at runtime. Don't know. Like I said, guys, I need some time to sort through these things and figure out what is what. So there are definitely some changes. So that's definitely a change there. Is one, I have no clue how they're using this thing. So it's going to take a little bit. It's going to take a little bit to figure it all out. All right. So some of the other changes, right, that I want to point out here. So if you go to gameplay, let's have a look at the field. So let's get off of this info layer thing here, this procedural. Right. We'll go to fields. Now, when you open up the fields, like say, for one, when we look at like name indicator, right? Let's toggle ourselves over there. All right. So you don't really see a number there. These are now on a note. So we got field one, 2.49 hectares, right? And you can see over here on the right hand side on the attribute, that's what we have for the note. So I can change that, to whatever I want. So I can make it say acres, right? So that's kind of different that they're using a note for that. And I think there's a very good reason for that because they are doing the fields differently, it seems like. Right. So if we look at instead of the all the different points that we had, like when you had the Giants blue square method where it would list each one of your corners, like corner one, corner two, all the way down. Now we just have polygon points, right? And there's not a whole lot of them here for this field number one. Right, and I'd imagine the polygon points is has to do with the ground displacement, right? Being able to, because the polygons, it only makes sense, right? The ground deformation. So they're definitely doing the fields differently based on that, right? So on that whole deformation thing, and they have to. It would only make sense that they have to be doing them differently to get that deformation to work they want, the way they want it to work. Now, how does it work? Beats the heck out of me. Again, I need some time. If you guys, make any kind of progress before I do, chime in at some point. Throw something on the channel, and we'll all work together to figure out what in the heck is going on here. So some things I did notice with this. Now, I used to be able to go up to, let's say, scripts, and then I think it had like maybe map. So the shared scripts here, right? So there is no like toggle render field areas, right? So I can't render the field areas. So I have no clue how they're doing that. All right. So you're going to have to go through these and figure out what does what, right? Because there is different scripts now. So if we go into the script editor, all right, we'll have a look at the script editor. Okay. Now you can see everything that's new, right? So here's the field toolkit, and you can read through and see what does what. Now this is like drawing UI windows and stuff like that, opening and closing the toolkit. Now I don't believe this is used in game, but maybe it is. I am not like again, I'm not quite sure. I just kind of like breeze through it. So here's repaint fields. So it sounds like something we would definitely be using um, in the creation of fields. Now, within the editor or not, I don't know. I, oddly enough, I feel like there's something missing. There's probably not, but I feel like there's something missing. Like there should be something extra here that I'm just not seeing. But again, I didn't have the time to actually sit down and really figure these things out. Right? It might take me a good weekend or longer to like really get my head around everything, to figure out everything they did differently here. But first and foremost, I can tell you, like right now, if I was to sit down right now, create a map, and just make some simple fields, I couldn't even tell you where to start. I have no no clue how to make a field. Feels kind of weird where teaching people how to make fields and everything else for the longest time, and now I need my own tutor. I really I do. I don't know what's going on here. But we'll figure it out. Not a problem. But so this is all different. So just a heads up there, right? So we got farmland fields is different. This placeable sounds kind of cool. This toolkit that they have here, right? So looking through the scripts, this is all pretty cool. I want to know what these toolkits do. Now you can get a feel for what they do by reading the script. If you're, I mean, you don't have to be well versed in Lua, but if you have an idea, you should be able to like piece it together to figure out, what is going on inside of here. All right. And a lot of the way the way this used to work is like the editor utils, right? So some of the things like the scripts that we used to run, they would all run based off of like these utils here, right? So there's some nice things here like hooks. These are all based on the game. If you look at uh or maybe it's the engine stubs. I'm not sure. I was looking through it all earlier and a lot of this stuff looked pretty cool. It looked like stuff that you could hook into like on file open, and they all look game related. Obviously, because it's the editor and we're making maps for a game and mods. Um, but like I said, take some time, look through these things, just to get acquainted with it. You're not going to be able to do much map wise. Uh, the first thing that I would have done, obviously, is start with new mod from game, start cleaning things out, and then working with your DEM, import a DEM, and just starting with that and just playing around. I would have to start with the procedural placement, start making your own block mask, start making. I'm not exactly sure how they're using those masks yet, so I can't tell you. I can. It's easy for me to tell you to make one, but when you don't know what the hell you're making, yeah, I get it. I get it because I don't either. But we should be able to figure that out. Not a big problem. All right. So I guess that's the one heads up that I got for you guys with the editor this time around is some things are definitely done differently, right? So like fields used to be super easy to make fields. Mm, not looking that way now. Now, how this affects other things, right? Like our scripts, like our field, what was it? Like our bitmask, our field. I'm drawing a blank. You know what I'm talking about? The field video that I did. Field dimensions with bitmask. That's what it is. Bitmap. I don't know how this would affect some of those things yet. All right, being able to like one like laying down your foliage or your tree scripts, the tree creator, the field dimensions with bitmap. I don't know yet how any of this is going to affect those scripts or how it's going to affect how we make our maps. You know, if they're usable, not usable. Again, I don't know these things. It's going to take a lot of testing to go through and figure out what's what. You know, what's usable, what's not usable. We'll get our head around it though. Don't you worry. We will definitely figure these things out. So definitely some differences. All right. What do you think? Different, not different. Now they have these are all my user scripts, so you can just by closing that folder, you can see what you have to work with here as far as what was offered to you with Giants Editor 10. It's pretty neat here that I see they got some UI scripts in here, right? So creating message box, a yes no dialogue box. Now, it's weird because I can't imagine these would be meant to be used strictly within the editor, right? Because I mean, we don't as map makers, I can't, we wouldn't need any of these things, not necessarily. Now, I guess maybe if they mean dialogue boxes, like when you run certain scripts, like if you have, let's see, terrain, like paint terrain by spline. See how this dialog box pops up. All right, so perhaps it means something like that. But other than that, I can't see too many. I can't see too many instances where we would need a full dialogue. Like, I mean, there's straight up like functions in here, like if selected, yes. If you go through and look and figure it out, and it's definitely some different things going on. But again, we have to get our head around it. We have to figure out how they're using is, and ooh, I don't know what else I want to say about that. We just got to figure it out. All right, so I'm interested. I will be interested to see how quickly certain videos come out, as far as like map tutorials and stuff like that. Because I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit more slow going this time around. Because up until now, between different versions of the game and the editors, things changed, but not so drastically that they were at least done pretty similar to the way they were the year before or the version before. So I think this is the first time that we're really deviating from that way that things have been done for a long time. That things are done entirely differently. All right. So I think that's the first time we're seeing this. So all of us have something that we need to learn, right? So we've got some new things to learn. All right. So anyhow, that was my lowdown on the editor. Right. So outside of that, not too much is different outside of that. Procedural placement, if you go inside of there, you can get a little bit of a better feel of how they're using these things, right? So everything that you see here, these again is what's in this folder here. These are the masks here, right? And it would make sense because it's under the mask tab. They have nothing for scripts, and I really would have expected to see something in there, but I did not. Distance matrix. I'm guessing this is just the distance between like medium trees. Here's the distance between mediums. Distance between parents. Again, just guessing. I have no clue if that's actually what that is, what it's not. I have to play with that, figure out what's what. And then again, objects. You can look through here and see all the stuff that they're putting down. And then you got your rules. And again, I have no clue what these mean or what they do. I do know that this rule object here, you can open this up, right? So you can actually see what's going on inside of there, right? So there is different things going on inside of those boxes. But again, this is a whole lot of what I'm hoping does not happen. Now you'll notice like last year or not last year, maybe it was last year. Anyhow, when 9.0.6, when that editor came out and procedural placement first showed up, you'll notice that since then, you've yet to see a single video anywhere on YouTube that explains how procedural placement works, right? Because nobody was really able to figure that out. I'm hoping this doesn't turn out the same way, where months from now we're like, how the hell do you use this thing? Like, I have no clue. I don't think it'll go down that way. I really think, we'll be able to get this all sorted out, and hopefully in relatively short order. But no guarantees. I'm a busy guy, and I have a hard enough time just getting a video out in a timely fashion, let alone sit down for hours and hours to be able to figure this stuff out. So, all right, it's going to take a little bit of work. But like I said, I'm really hoping it doesn't go the same way, where some things are just, we can't figure it out. I mean, obviously they have something that needs to be fixed first, because you can't even make a new mod from game at this point, and it's not going to take them long to figure that out. People will definitely start, I don't want to say complaining, but making it known that this does not work the way they want it to work. So you will, in pretty short order, I would imagine, you'll see like a 10.0.1. You'll see a new version that you'll be able to download. And I don't know why I feel like there's something missing in scripts. It could just be me. I just get that weird feeling that something is different there. Because there is some differences, right? So like open scripts in Studio, we didn't have that before. Connect to Studio, re-init script environment. So there's definitely a lot of differences here. Um, I don't know what makes me feel like there's something missing. I do. Maybe because there is something missing. I'm used to what used to be there on Giants version 9. So that's probably why I feel that way, because when you compare one version to the other, there are some things missing, and there should be, because they're doing things differently now. All right, so I'm not going to ramble on too much longer. That's pretty much all I had to say about that. I just want to go over things really quickly. I wish I could have had like better news for you and said, "Hey, these are all the things that are different, and this is how you use them, and this is going to be a lot of fun, and this is great." Now it still is exciting, right? It definitely is, because I enjoyed the challenge. Oh, the other thing that was different too, before I go too far on that, the splines are fixed again. So if we go back in the create spline, right, and we put that down, now you can see there's some numbers on it already. Now I believe you still need to. Can you grab the endpoint? If you remember when they made a change last time, when you hit insert, you could only work with one end of the spline, because they kind of goofed it up. Like, you had to work from the start. You couldn't work from the end like I'm doing now. You had to work from the start and then just reverse the spline. So now they fixed that, which is definitely good. Uh, but it looks like, I know these are distances, maybe from the start, 1.9, 7.25. Yeah, they look like they might be distances. So that's kind of neat. All right. Not quite sure what I would need that information for yet. I'll have to go through some of the menus and figure out. View from top, bottom, left, right, front, back. Show. Yeah, we're gonna have to go through and figure out what's what on these. But that's definitely something that I like seeing, is that they fixed that. Man, did that bother me? I hated the way they did that. All right, and you can still open and close blinds. All right, so that works nice. But anyhow, that's good news. Now, I do want to open up a traffic system. I didn't see the traffic system yet. Where is the traffic system? I want to see how they did that, because you'll notice in the game how the cars pass each other. I want to see how they did that. I want to see that's definitely done differently. Just looking around the map, I can see that some things are different. Like, I'm not sure, like over here, you got these blue areas. Now, I would have assumed that was some kind of I'm not sure what this is designating, because it's not for animals. I really don't think animals go in there. So it's not that type of mask. It's not like an indoor mask. So I'm missing something. I'm not sure what these are used for quite yet. Like I said, this is, again, I'm gonna need a little bit of time to sit down with all these things. Now these in here seem like they could be for an animal, but not entirely. I'm not sure what that's for, or how they're using that, or how to create one for that matter. All right, so I know those are the differences. But yeah, what I wanted to do is I wanted to look for We have vehicle shop, fields, football, guided tours, map boundaries, map ends, river splines, traffic splines. All right, so let's. Oh, they got them one by one. They have them hidden, so we got to select all of these. Ease a whiz. There's a lot. Is that all of them? Yeah, that's all of them. All right. I just want a real quick look at them and see. Go up to one of these main roads here. They don't really look any different. Hmm. That's pretty neat. I mean, that's not pretty neat. It's the same as what it was, but it's at least different. That I thought maybe it was something with the spline itself. Um, but I guess it has more to do with the collisions. I guess on the vehicles. You know, when it comes up to another vehicle, it knows it's approaching another vehicle on that spline, and it'll just go around it. I don't know how it works, not yet, anyhow. But it is pretty neat. At least it's good news to see that your traffic system hasn't gotten any more complicated. You'll be able to figure that out in short order. All right, so that's that. Park cars should look pretty much the same. I wouldn't expect that to be any different. All right, and we got AI pedestrian system. So everything pretty much looks the same outside of that, right? So all in all, I would say everything is more or less the same. The fields definitely look like they're done a little bit differently, and I'd imagine that has to do with the ground deformation, um, some new info layers. So it's not drastically different, right? So that's the good news, right? So you should be able to jump right back into things um, with minimal work, right? Without having to bang your head up against the wall too hard, too long, because everything else looks pretty much the same. All right, but one thing I do promise you is as I get these things figured out, we will be getting some videos out and we'll get everybody up to speed. One again, once I get everything sorted out and figure out what in the heck is going on here. All right, but for now, like I said, if you guys end up opening up a base game map to play around, do not save this. Do not, because you will overwrite your base game map. All right, so do not. You can either wait for Giants to update the editor so you can start a new mod from game and then play around from there. You may be able to save as. I don't know if I don't really suggest goofing around with the base game map like that, saving it as something else. There's no point right now. There's really no point in doing that. All right. But anyhow, I'm going to leave things there. Just wanted to let you guys know that the new editor is out there and there are some changes this time around, right? Some, I don't want to say big changes, but I guess sort of. I was kind of hoping more for like some of the little changes we had last time, like what were some of the changes that we had that I thought were great? Like limit to texture, that was pretty cool. So all the bells and whistles, those are the things I was looking for. And it doesn't seem like we got too many of those. Overall, it's not drastically different than it was from version 9, except for a heavier use on the procedural placement, which I don't really think you have to use, right? You don't necessarily need to use that. I do think it probably makes your life easier in the long run if you know how to utilize it. But if you don't, not a big deal. I'm pretty sure you can do things the way you've always been doing them, aside from the fields, right? So the fields definitely are done a little bit differently. And then the environment info layers is done not differently. It's done the same as the other info layers. It's just new to us. All right. So there you have it. Play around, see what you can figure out, not figure out. Let me know if you figure anything out. All right. So I'm going to leave things right there. And with that being said, I am Bauer Brown, and I will see you on the next one.